in a land quite far from here. In a time which is timeless. Lived two doting parents of noble blood, with their beautiful daughter, Alonza. To their regret, she had grown into a selfish young woman. Alonza was hard-pressed to lift a finger to help them in any way. She attracted many admirers, but found all of them unworthy. Her tongue was sharp, and her heart closed. Then one day, her family's fate changed. Their kingdom was attacked, and all funds from noble families were commanded to arm and feed the soldiers. Alonza's father took ill, and her mother spent most of her time nursing him. Alonza had no choice but to learn how to hunt and grow food, so that they wouldn't starve. She undertook this task begrudgingly at first, but the grumbling in her belly spurred her on, and her concern for her father. Even as her fine clothes turned to rags, and her hands grew rough, her heart began to warm with its exposure to nature. One day, her mother said to her, "I must send you on a very difficult journey. If you do not succeed, your father will surely die." This struck fear into Alonza's heart. "You must go to the house of the south wind, and from his lake draw a clear drink of water and bring it back in this enchanted silver cup." Their horses had been taken by the Queen's army, so Alonza set out for the home of the south wind on foot. After many weary miles, she arrived at the house of the south wind, and she found the abandoned cottage, no sign of anyone, anywhere. The lake was completely clouded over. Overcome by the fear that her father would surely die, she collapsed by the lake shore, accidentally dropping the silver cup into the murky water. Despairing, Alonza covered her face and wept bitterly. "Why do you weep?" she heard a strange voice say. She lifted her eyes to see a chameleon sunning itself by the lake. "I have been sent by my mother to fetch a clear drink of water from this lake to cure my dying father. But the lake is clouded over, and now I have lost the magical silver cup." "Do not fear," the chameleon replied. "I am Ozias. I have the power to uncloud the water and fetch your silver cup, if you will grant me just one wish." Desperate to save her father, she readily agreed, and the chameleon blinked its big reptilian eyes. And the lake instantly cleared. Then the silver cup rested in front of her, with water sparkling up to its rim. "Oh, thank you, chameleon. I shall never forget you. The water from the lake made her father well, and their fortunes turned. Prosperity returned to their lands. But it did not take long for Alonso to forget her promise to the chameleon until the day he came knocking on her door. "Do you remember your promise to me?" Ozias said, and dread filled Alonso's heart. "Of course I do. What is it you wish, chameleon?" "I am under an enchantment, and you are the only one who has the power to break it. You must come with me to the land east of the sun and west of the moon, and slay the troll whose magic holds me." Alonso barked, "No!" and in a fit of fear and madness picked up the chameleon and dashed him against the wall until he fell to the ground dead. Then he transformed into a handsome young man with sad eyes who stood before her. "You have released me from the chameleon's body through your action, but your refusal has doomed me to an eternal prison." And with that, a host of demons appeared in the room and carried him away. Alonso's parents and their home all disappeared. Everything in it became like colors in a stream and vanished. Once more, Alonso was in rags, stripped by her selfishness. She knelt down on the cold ground and cried for many days. When at last she arose from her tears, she understood her only choice was to travel to the land east of the sun and west of the moon. Slay the troll and release Ozias, and finally restore her family. Lonely, cold, and hungry, Alonso walked many weary miles to the edge of a great forest, and she cried out, "Mother Forest, please tell me where I can find the kingdom east of the sun and west of the moon." A voice answered her, like the sound of wind through leaves. "I know, Alonso, what is in your heart, and I know all that you seek. At the edge of my forest, you will find a unicorn. She will carry you to the edge of the sea. Perhaps the great fish can take you to the kingdom." At the edge of the forest, she did indeed find a unicorn. The unicorn carried her many miles, all the way to the edge of the sea. When she arrived, she found the great fish gazing up at her from the sea floor. "Great fish of the sea, can you take me to the kingdom that is east of the sun and west of the moon?" A voice answered her like the sound of bubbles popping. "I do know, Alonso, what is in your heart and all that you seek. I will take you across the sea. There you will find the way to the kingdom blocked by the ancient and evil troll. The bow and arrow which can slay him is hidden within his palace." Alonso traveled many miles on the back of the great fish across the sea. When at last she arrived on dry land, the great fish warned her. If you think only of yourself, you will become like the troll and all hope will be lost. You must find your heart of generosity. Then the great fish wiggled its body and a mirrored scale fell in her hand. Be aware and be clever. Your wits will serve you well. Alonso traveled many weary miles until she came upon the ancient evil troll's palace, and she knocked boldly on the door and cried out, I am hungry and weary, and I will come to offer my cleaning services in exchange for food and shelter. The troll felt that Alonso would provide excellent entertainment before making a pretty addition to his stone statue collection, and so he invited her in. He had great fun at her expense. He insulted her and threw sand and dirt on each place she had cleaned. He bragged about all the people he'd welcomed into his stone collection, demanding she dust every one. Yet she remained unfazed and non-reactive. So focused was she on saving Ozias and restoring her family. When she ascended the stairs, the troll followed her, drinking mead liberally, spilling it all about him. By the time she reached the second floor, the troll sank down and passed out. Thrilled at her good fortune, Alonso dashed through the second floor of the palace, searching for Ozias, for the bow and arrow, but she found nothing. She ran up the stairs to the third floor, and still she found nothing. Finally, she found a great staircase leading up into a tower. Her heart pounding, she climbed the hard steps upward and found a cold, dusty room. There was Ozias, frozen, yet his eyes seemed to watch her. Just then, the evil troll burst into the room, screaming horribly, clutching the bow and arrow menacingly. Alonso swiftly drew out the great fish's mirrored scale, and holding it up, the troll stopped in his tracks. Paralyzed by his own hideousness, and the bow and the arrow clattered to the floor. Alonso leapt forward and grabbed them, took aim and let the arrow fly through the troll's heart, and the troll fell down dead. Just as that happened,